Welcome everyone. The Festival of Himalayas Nepal Premier League is going on, and as the World Cup approaches, the head coach of Nepal, Stuart is with us for a special conversation regarding the NPL and the World Cup that we're going to play in a few months' time. Welcome back to Nepal, coach.
Yeah, Subas, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
So you had some time with the Under-19 team in the ACC Under-19 Premier Cup. First of all, I want to start with that title-winning run. 2 titles in a row for you. This one a bit different one. How was your experience with the Under-19 boys?
Yeah, look, it's always nice to see what talent there is underneath as well. So it wasn't the fact that I was out there as a head coach. I was out there as more of a consultant or a observer to see how players go about their cricket and how they react and perform under pressure. And the young boys, they've got some talent, and it's always a bit daunting going into those qualifying tournaments because one mistake could mean you don't qualify. And the boys got through really well to the final and just slipped up in that last game. But they should be very proud of what they achieved, and they're off to the Asia Cup now, which is great.
The boys will be playing the Asia Cup. We faltered in the final, but how do you see the development process and the pipeline for these youngsters to play the Asia Cup, and thereafter how close communication have you been with the CAN?
Yeah, look, I think that what CAN have provided here, the NPL, it's a fantastic stepping stone for not only the domestic players but also the under-19 players and the junior crickets, the grassroots level, to look up and say, okay, well there is a pathway, there is an avenue to world cricket, and I've been lucky enough to go and watch the games closely at the NPL. It's a fantastic tournament. Talking to some of the players, the overseas players particularly, who I've had a few dealings with over the years, and they just can't speak highly enough of it. They say the organisation is brilliant, the cricket itself and the conditions are outstanding, and now at the floodlights they've got rid of the early morning games, which is probably more to those players' liking, but all in all the spectacle's been fantastic. I started watching it on TV and now I'm watching it live. It's brilliant.
As you mentioned, that NPL has been a great phase for development, and 6 of those players who could have been playing but on the 90s are playing in the NPL. Yeah. How big of opportunity is this for those players and for those players in the fringes of the national team? Yeah,
look, it is. And it's not just about playing, it's about training with some of the better players from around the world, seeing how they go about their cricket, how they prepare for matches. And in match, and how they negotiate certain situations, certain times of the games. The players that come here, the overseas players, they've got a duty as well to help develop the talent that's here. And I think most of the guys that are here have been very, very willing to offer their knowledge, their information that they have to the youngsters. And the youngsters, they've got to understand too that you won't learn much if you don't ask questions, and there's no wrong questions when you're a young player. So get in there and ask them as many questions as you can. But to see now the pathway, domestic structure needs a bit of work, and I've been talking to Paris Kadka about that recently, and that it's at the stages where we need to, it's a dream to have a first-class system here where we play multiple-day cricket, whether it be 3 or 4 day cricket, a 50-over competition and a T20 competition. But once we can, we've got the vision, we just need to be able to have the tools to be able to put that in place. And the NPL is a good start. In years to come, it's going to be a financial windfall for CAN. Plus, if the national team keep winning, that'll be another cash windfall for CAN as well. We can start putting those aspects in place.
Now, coming back to the NPL, you've been visiting the ground daily. What exactly are you looking for right now? Are you looking at the players? Are you looking at, let's say, the result, the form of the players that you already brought to the national team, or are you looking for newer players from the NPL?
What I look for mainly is, we can't neglect what we did in the World Cup qualifiers. To go through undefeated was just, fantastic effort and sensational, games played by the boys during that tournament. I know everyone, if someone doesn't score runs and someone from outside the squad does, all of a sudden they become, the talk of the town. But you've got to look a bit differently to that. Understand where we're going. We're going to a place where very small ground, very flat wicket, and good pace and good bounce in it. So we need to find players who can, negotiate those situations. There may not be much spin at Mumbai. there definitely will be bounce. There may be a little bit of spin, but we need to find players who can adapt to those situations. Batters who can hit the ball in certain areas of the ground. We're always looking for talent, because God forbid there will be injuries come along, and you need ready-made replacements for those players that do get injured if that happens. So I've been looking at that, and not just looking at the final result. I'm looking at how they've scored their runs or taken their wickets, how they've contributed to the team winning the game. Were they under pressure, or was it an easy finish to the game, etc.? Did they get their team over the line or just fall short? So they're the little things that I look at.
We became the champion of the World Cup qualifiers for the first time, and we were undefeated in that run.
Yep.
But coming back to the NPL, those players from that undefeated run, the 15-man squad, so let's say the 16 with Saab Alam, so they've not been performing quite well. But do you look at their form while we were selecting the World Cup squad, or let's say the preliminary squad for the World Cup? Do you look the current form, or do you look the long-term performance that they've been delivering for last year?
I think if you're picking on form and just say that all players weren't performing in the NPL, do you go on with a new squad of 15? I don't think you do that. Look, I know that there will be names thrown out there. Social media is a big pull in this country. I've got to know that and understand that. I don't pick teams by social media. I pick teams by what skill sets the team needs. From my perspective, and captain's perspective, etc. We then go about and look for those players. The players that won us the trophy in Oman, I think they deserve first crack. There may be a few changes, there may be, but that'll be venue dependent where we're going to be playing in the World Cup. So, look, they may not have performed. Don't forget, they've been on the road for a long time too. They've been playing cricket for a long time, and we haven't had huge breaks in between the series. They've been 2 or 3 days, and then we're back into it again. They're all physically fit. I just think that some of them may be a bit mentally fatigued, which can cause a dip in form and ability to perform on the stage. But look, a lot of them started the tournament well, but as tournaments go and things happen within a franchise, if you've been in, you understand it. That can drag you down as well. So look, I think I'm looking forward to them finishing this tournament and having some time off, and just not doing any cricket for some time, and then when January comes around, we can really hit it hard again.
But if you look at the other way, this is the first time you've seen the fringes domestic player for the first time playing in the field in any competitive tournaments. We've had camps with 54 players, but this is the first time you've seen new players in action. So has there been any player that has caught your eye? You don't need to name names, but has there been?
Oh, look, there's always going to be someone sticking their hand up. Yeah, there's players who have been around for a while who have been out of the national team who are doing well, and there's also the young kids coming through who haven't had an opportunity, and they're performing okay. What they need to understand and what they need to do, that someone needs to really stand out. You don't stand out by doing the same. You've got to stand out by going over and above the other players. That'll make you really stand out and very difficult to not select. There's been a few performances consistently through the NPL that have really caught my eye. So they're ones that we're now starting to talk about and bring back, into the reckoning for selection. But if you're just going to keep producing the same as everyone else, there's no real difference. So, it's pointless changing something that's going to be exactly the same. So we really need standout performances, and not just once, but consistently throughout the whole tournament.
We're still 2 months away. We have a lot of time and maybe a lot of camps and training sessions and bilaterals, let's hope so. But coming back to the World Cup, so we're the only team that's going to play in the same venue for the group stage. Yeah. How big of an advantage is that? Yeah,
look, I don't think it is, to be honest. I'd rather have played on a bigger ground that had a bit of spin. The Wankhede Stadium is, it's Lord's for India. It's steeped in history. It's a magnificent venue, and the redevelopment, it looks even better now in the big city of Mumbai. Look, it's a great place to play cricket. The boundaries are small. The wicket is generally good for batting. If you see the IPL matches that are played there, you see the scores that are out there. It can be a batting wicket. So we've got to work out a strategy to play teams like England, who are going to have bowlers 140 plus. West Indies will have bowlers 140 plus. Bangladesh have got a few bowlers who bowl 140 plus, so we're going to have to work out how we're going to negotiate that. The areas we're going to target with our batting, and our running between the wickets will be that doesn't change. That's what we're really good at. We just got to find another way to get runs against that type of bowling. I think the spin and the medium pace, I think, will be okay, but it's just that high pace that we don't see in associate cricket that we've got to get used to pretty quickly.
As you mentioned, the conditions, we need high-paced bowlers, and that we don't have in our squad at the moment, and maybe from the NPL we can get someone. But how much of a challenge it is for you to take the balance in the team with those playing conditions that we're alien to?
Yeah, I think we need to start looking at, the bigger the match, the more experienced the player. You need to pick those players because they're going to be calmer under pressure. They're going to understand what is required at the time. And we've got a few. We've got a few that are very intelligent. To identify the problems that we have had in the past, talking to a number of people within the Nepalese cricket community, the death bowling. And I think we're starting to find a couple of boys who can bowl at the death. And a couple of guys have done it for us recently and done a very good job. So, that's one area. Spin I don't think is an issue. We've got good different spin. We've got left arm spin, leg spin, and looking for maybe a mystery spinner if there is one out there. And batting, we just need to find guys who can absorb pressure, which I think our top batters that have played recently, they're the ones who can absorb pressure the best. And we need that flair, and we've got that in abundance. So look, there may be a few changes. There might not be too many, because I don't think if you keep changing now, it's just going to cause a bit of disruption. And as you say, 2 months, it's a long time, but it's going to come quickly. The February 8th is going to come very quickly for us, so we need to be ready for that.
But how concerned are you that the current players of the national team, they're not performing as they did? We've seen some players standing up, leading the team, playing, giving performances that has been decisive in some matches. But a lot of the players, some have not been able to break into the team, some have been rested. As a national team head coach, does this give a headache to you that ahead of the tournament you're not getting to see your players play in these tournaments? No,
not at all, mate. Not at all. The NPL is a separate entity. It's as you said at the start, it's the festival of cricket here in Nepal. Yes, performances do mean a lot to players. Progression in the game. Is it the wholly and solely selection? No, it's not. It's an idea. It gives me an idea. Gives everyone an idea how these boys perform under pressure. I think it's good that the guys that have been in the team haven't performed at their ability, because having speaking to them, they're not happy. They're disappointed in themselves. And I think, as I said before, the mental fatigue has come in. You expect the highs of what we did in Oman, the euphoria of qualifying and going through undefeated, winning that tournament outright, first time in our history. And previous to that, we beat the West Indies, the first time beating a full member nation in a bilateral series, in a T20 series. Those euphoric occasions took a lot of mental energy to get over the line and concentration. And I think the cricket that we played consistently since then, it's just we've just become mentally fatigued. It's easier for a bowler because you can make mistake after mistake and you still take a wicket. Batsman, you only get one chance, so it's difficult for those guys. But look, I'm not concerned at this point in time. I think that when we all get back together as our group, there's a special energy that we create, and it's a really good environment that we've created within the dressing room. And we get the coaches back that I've had on working in previous series. I think the boys will get back into their cricket very quickly.
As you spoke about the backroom staff, so we've had Nick coming in, Dan coming in for the Middle East series. So coming to the World Cup, are we going to have some reinforcement in the backroom staff, and about the Nepalese backroom staff as well? How can you expect any changes?
No changes we might have a few additions, but no changes. Look, I think it's going to be important that for the team to run smoothly throughout the World Cup. It's going to take, logistics is going to be a nightmare, particularly in India. We are very lucky that we're staying in one place, but we do have to travel for our 2 practice matches. And if there's injuries, you want players, who have to leave the squad and players that have to arrive for the squad. You want that a smooth transition as well. And Look, I think just someone in that position would be great. We're discussing whether we need, you know, a bowling coach to come through, and I've got some ideas on that, but nothing set in stone just at this moment. But that's probably it. I'm very happy with our local support staff. I think they work their socks off. They're great for me because if there's any translation that needs to happen, I've got Gayan there who not only a very good coach, not only an ex-player, understands what's going on, but he can also relay messages for me both ways. Our physio, Lakendra, is one of the best I've worked with, the workhorse. Abdul Sattar is, you know, he's doing his job. The boys are extremely fit. They're going to get fitter because he's got a camp coming up where it's just going to be fitness work. So they're all working really well. You know, there's no stress on anyone. And of course, Rahman, who wears a lot of hats. You know, he's our analyst, he's our logistical manager, he's our day-to-day manager. But I think he needs to have some support in that area so we can actually focus on the analytical side of things. We're going to have to use them a little bit more in the World Cup. So I'm happy. There may be an addition, there may be 2 additions, but otherwise I'm pretty happy with what we've got.
Come February 8, we'll be facing England for the first time. You played them World Cup last edition as well. How do you see Nepal versus England, the match and the value that carries? We're going to play the opener.
It's fantastic. You know, what an opportunity for us. You know, the thing I like about going into a World Cup as, you know, an associate nation, no one really gives you a chance to win a game. Okay, and that's the reality. And that's great. I like being the underdog. You know, I coached the USA last time into the World Cup and no one really gave us a chance. Yeah, we had our games that we thought we could win, you know, and the games that we thought we could really cause, you know, a few headaches, maybe not get over the line, but cause a few headaches. And, you know, lo and behold, we beat Canada in the first game and then we beat Pakistan and we were pretty close to beating India as well in New York. So, look, I like the tag because opposition, if they take us lightly, we have a really good day out, you know, we can cause some real damage, and that's what we're hoping. England, you know, different kettle of fish. They're, you know, they 2-time world champions in this format. You know, so they're going to be difficult, but you know, so are we. We're not there just to make up numbers. We're there to, you know, really create some pressure and go well. You know, that's the aim.
The next is Bangladesh, the team that you know well, and even Nepal knows well because we played in every edition the World Cup. Yep. We played in. How do you see the game against Bangladesh? Because the last time out in the World Cup, we were very close to beating them.
Yeah.
Do you think this we can?
Well, I think we should have. We should have beaten them by all accounts, from what I've heard, and South Africa, which might have got us through to the Super 8s. Look, Bangladesh, they played some really good T20 cricket recently, and they'll take that form and that confidence into the World Cup. You know, just on the day, it comes down to who's better performed or who's better prepared or mentally fresh at that time. It comes down to who can perform better on the day, and you know, our job is to, as a support staff, is to make sure the players are ready to go at any time. You know, Bangladesh have got, you know, they've got some good hard cricketers, but also, you know, so have we. We got some disruptors in our squad that can, you know, break their rhythm, particularly when they're batting. And if we can break it enough, it should give us a chance to chase a total that's comfortable.
We'll be playing the West Indies again, the first test team that we've beaten most recently. The scene will be different, the pressure will be different, but how do you see us versus the West Indies in the World Cup scene? Oh,
their team will be different too. You know, they'll pick their big guns to play in that game. They're preparing for Test match cricket in India, and they sent some younger players to our series, which, take nothing away, we still outplayed them, you know, wholly and solely, but they'll be different. They'll be more aware of us. They'll understand, you know, what we can do if they don't have a good day, and you know, that brings pressure on them. Again, no pressure on us. That brings pressure on them to come and turn up and play the proper game of cricket that they want to play. But it's up to us to make sure that we put them off their game if we can. And I'm expecting some, you know, some great moments. You know, it's difficult to sit here and say we're going to beat this team, we're going to do that. If cricket was that easy, we'd all be doing it. It's not that easy. It's going to be difficult, but we should go into that T20 World Cup with a lot of confidence and knowing that we can do it, and that's the belief we must carry in.
The next one is Italy, and Thomas Turaka is in Nepal. Italy's premier bowler is playing with Rohit Paudel. Have you had any chat with him or regarding that?
No, but I watched Drucker bowl the other day in the warm up, and I went, "Whoa, that looks pretty good." So you know, once again, pace and bounce in Mumbai, more so in Mumbai than anywhere else in India. You know, you've got to still bowl well. If you bowl that fast and you're that tall, you still got to bowl well, put it in good areas. If you don't, you could put it. Our batsmen can go to town. They don't mind facing the pace. So, you know, look, Italy they'll be tough. They'll be full of Australians. They'll be full of English. Might be a few New Zealanders in there as well. No, they won't just guys who have been playing cricket in Italy. They would have been playing from anywhere around the world. Grade cricket in Australia, first class cricket in England, Australia, etc. So we can't take them lightly either, because I know a few of them from watching on the outside and having spoken to a few people about it. They're tough nuts, so they're going to be hard to beat. So we've got to be wary of them.
As you told that logistically having the same ground for all the group matches is easy. Tactically, how advantage will that be? Because we'll start with England, then Italy, West Indies and Bangladesh. How easy will be the transition for us to get used to the conditions?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that I can call on too for their experiences at Wankhede Stadium as well recently, to work out a game plan, a strategy that we'll need. And the coaching staff that we'll have insights from all over the globe from different players on how to go about playing. We want to have a good strategy from game one. Playing it at the same venue all the time, it should be watertight by the fourth game we play. But we want to make sure we've got it nailed on from game one. And those discussions haven't started yet. I want to let the boys just relax and forget about cricket after the NPL for a couple of weeks, get them fresh and ready to go, and then once we come back in, we'll start discussing what we need. So, Wankhede, as I said before, tough place to play. There is a sea breeze depending on the game, time of game you've got. There is a sea breeze which may help swing a bit. Night time there may be dew at that time of year as well, which may have to come into consideration. And in the morning time there may be a bit of spin. So we'll have to wait and see.
Not just for the team, but also for the fans. It's not just happening in India, but all the games are in the same city. How excited are you to see the Nepalese crowd in 33,000 stadium?
Oh, look, I can't wait. I can't wait. I've seen them here. They're crazy here and crazy passionate for the team, crazy passionate for the game of cricket. To play, I know England will have a big travelling squad as well. Barmy Army will be out there. But I'm sure we can top them. I'm sure we can beat them, and we can be louder. That's for sure. And look, I think our boys really respond well to the support that they do get. If they can keep their emotions in check, I know the crowd go bananas. They're very emotional as well. But if we can keep our emotions in check and keep our fans very happy, very loud, that means we're playing good cricket. So I look forward to it. As I say, I've coached against Nepal when the crowd has been bigger in a away venue. And it's intimidating, so I just hope that we can get as many people into that ground as we can and make it intimidating for England, for West Indies, for Italy, for everybody, and hopefully good things come from it.
Preparation-wise, so for the World Cup qualifiers, we started our journey from top end down under Australia. Then we played West Indies and we had camps in India as well. So we're going to play the World Cup in India. So what are your expectations from the CAN, from the management for the preparation of the World Cup?
No, we're in deep talks right now, and we're trying to organise a camp in similar conditions to what we're going to be playing. I've got friends in India who can help us with that as well. And look, I don't want to. You don't want to. Get the preparation right. You don't want to do too much, so the boys are fatigued by the time the World Cup comes, but you also got to do enough so they understand the conditions, and these boys won't take long. The good players adapt to different conditions pretty quickly. So a couple of weeks in those conditions should stand us in good stead to understand what we're coming into, and hopefully by then we should be just going out there and enjoying our cricket.
Coming back to the NPL, so you said that how younger players can learn from the overseas players like Faf and Martin.
Yep.
So Martin specifically, he's been working as a coaching role as well. So how do you think these teams can get more of these foreign players, the senior players as well?
Yeah, look, I think everyone from Nepal should be picking the brains of the guys like Faf du Plessis, Martin Guptill. That's only just to name a couple of players. And not just the guys from the Kings, but every player should be sitting down asking questions. They're very approachable. They're very knowledgeable. You know, and they do want to help. They desperately want to help if you ask the question. So our players, each and every one of them, should be talking to those guys. Even, you know, talk to Faf du Plessis about, you know, captaincy and leadership and what have you. So look, it's been these tournaments when you get the overseas players in. That's, you know, I did it in county cricket. You're not only there to play the cricket and help the team win, but you're there to help develop the talent coming through as well. And everything that the overseas players do see, they should be jump on and say, hey, how about you thought about X, Y, Z? And so the players then get to learn while they're playing the game alongside some of the better players. And I understand it is working really well, and you can see it working really well in the way that some of our boys are playing. So, you know, this has got to continue, and years to come, we've got to maintain our selection criteria for overseas players, that we select them. They're not just coming here to play cricket. They're coming here to help develop our cricket and help wherever they can. And you know, there's a number of out there that would love to be doing it.
Now that you've watched the NPL matches up close, how happy are you with the talent in show and the competitiveness in between the Nepalese players as well?
Yeah, it's been good. You know, there's been a few times where it's spilled over, the passion spilled over, and you know, in the heat of the moment something happens, and then all of a sudden they're hugging each other on the field and smiling and laughing. So, look, the competition is great. You know, that's what it does. Everyone's so passionate about winning the game of cricket. The Nepal boys, they don't want to just play the game. They want to win. So when things don't quite go right, you do see that passion spill over, and that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. We just got to keep our emotions in check, that we don't overstep that line where the match referee and the umpires are having to jump in, and that's taken a little bit too far, and that's a bit reckless. So we can't be doing that. But from what I've seen, the players, you know, they've really enjoyed the NPL. You know, they've enjoyed playing in front of big crowds. It's on TV. They're treated like superstars when they're at the ground and away from the ground here at the hotels. It's only going to get better, and it's only going to get bigger. We just got to make sure that we're ready for it, and we keep providing, you know, good cricketers to come through and to represent teams in the NPL as well as the national team. And you know, it's been a fantastic marquee event.
We've got 4 teams in the playoffs, and all 4 marquees all are from the national team, and they've been stepping up. So how happy does that make you, that these players that are in your plan are in form and out of the big tournament, they're taking these performances day in, day out?
Yeah, look, it means nothing to the national team right now. All it does is it means something to their franchise team, you know, and I think that's what they've got to forget about the national team right now, and they've got to worry about their franchise. You know, what can they do for their franchise to, you know, win the tournament. And 4 teams are in there. I mean, today's game is a non-event, unfortunately, 7 playing 8, but they've still got plenty of pride to play for. You know, you don't want to win the wooden spoon coming last, but the top 4 teams, there's plenty to play for. You know, they don't worry about what will happen in February. You've got to worry about what's happening, you know, in the playoffs, and you know, the team that comes out on top will definitely deserve the title of champion.
I'm putting you on a spot right now. So who do you think has the chance to get that second NPL trophy with Janakpur?
Yeah, look, I think the final will be Royals playing the Kings, and I think the Royals have been really good. They lost yesterday to the Kings, and I think you do need that one loss in the series to give yourself a kick in the backside to go, you know what, okay, we need to play better than what we did. I think it's going to be a ripping final, but I'll go Royals.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Cheers, Subas. Thanks.